Rockford's home for Classic Rock 96.7 The Eagle. Good morning, I'm Double T, and it's a little insight to the world of the concert industry. I'm calling it Backstage Pass. Joining me, my special guest, Don Kronberg from NiteLite Promotions. You own a concert promotion company that puts on concerts. You have a good insight of what's going on in the industry right now, so I thought it'd be a good place to talk about refunds and money and that whole thing with COVID going on.
Well, that seems to be my life for the last almost 12 months now, rescheduling, postponing, and canceling concerts due to COVID. So I guess I am the authority to speak on this. Part of the process when we go ahead and reschedule these shows is, one, we don't want to do it. We don't have any choice but to do it. Our acts want to play shows. They want to play in front of people. They want to play in front of their fans. But at the end of the day, COVID is making it very difficult. So when we reschedule, we're really doing some serious thinking as a group, and that would be the act, the manager, the agent, the promoter, the venue. So this collective group, and we're trying to pick out a time period that truly does make sense. You know, will COVID either be over or will COVID be diminished enough for us to be able to do these shows? When we announce a newly rescheduled date, we now have what is called the 30-day refund window. So if I announce that a show has been rescheduled this morning, the customer, our fans, have 30 days from today to go ahead and return their tickets if they choose not to sit on them, or just put the new date in your calendar and hold on to your tickets, because that artist is eventually going to play your venue. There is every intention in the world of that happening. And the unique thing that we're seeing is that the customer that was upset when we started doing this early on in the process, let's just say last May or June, and we were hitting them with these 30-day refund policies, where in the past they could actually return their tickets almost right up until the night of the show if the show had been rescheduled or postponed and there was a new date attached. But I think what we did was we taught them that we really do need you to hold on to your tickets. We're counting on you to hold on to your tickets. A band that you were paying to see that you really wanted to see is counting on you to hold on to their tickets. And what happened was the customer held on to their tickets. As much as 90% of our customer base for each of our shows chose to hold on to their seats. We couldn't be happier. It told us that we were involved in a business with a customer that was really special and a customer that actually cared not only about the artist that they wanted to see, but about the venue, about the promoter. And the worst show that we've had as far as rescheduling, only 25% of our customers have returned their tickets. And usually it's because we've rescheduled the show at least 2 or 3 times. And we've had no choice.
This is Backstage Pass, an inside look at the concert industry with Don Kronberg from NiteLite Promotions. Is it better to bookmark a spot for that show and then have to push it back again later, or just to hold off completely?
Most of these artists were working on dates or already had dates scheduled for the fall of 2020 and into 2021. It's a very involved process where it's not just the shows that we had to postpone in March, April, May, but they had to work on shows they rescheduled and the new shows that they scheduled for later in the year. So there's just so many moving pieces. We're trying to pick out time periods that work. I'm working on dates for October and November for rescheduled performances, with the thought process being that by fall, we're going to have indoor seating capacity and we're going to learn how to deal with COVID on the indoor level. It's been difficult, man. I got to be honest. That's what my life's revolved around for the last year, and I just don't like it. My shows on the theater level and small indoor arena level are relatively easy because they're just not as large, and the tours themselves are not as long and not as involved. But when you get to a superstar act, you may have 20 to 30 semis or more out on the road and a crew of 200 to 300 people. When they tell you that they're postponing a show, yet they don't announce a new date and they ask you to hold on to your tickets for an extended period of time, I know it drives people crazy, and we all want to know, when are you guys coming back? What are you doing with my money? Well, number one, your money is safe. Being held by a large ticketing company like Ticketmaster, which is basically a bank, and they're not doing anything with your money. They're not going out of business. Your money is protected. The act, the promoter, the venue, nobody has direct access at those revenues. Those revenues are protected. So the customer is safe. So that's the one thing that I think people need to think about and understand a little bit more, that money's not going anywhere. And if you do want your money back within that refund window, you're going to get your money back. patience right now is definitely a virtue, and we really appreciate our customers and our fans with respect to them holding on to their tickets.
It's Backstage Pass, an inside look at the concert industry on Rockford's home for Classic Rock, 96.7 The Eagle. Rockford's home for Classic Rock, 96.7 The Eagle. Good morning, I'm Double T, and it's a little insight to the world of the concert industry. I'm calling it Backstage Pass. Joining me, my special guest, Don Kronberg from NiteLite Promotions. You finally get the go-ahead, and everything's all clear. What kind of turnaround do you think will it be time-wise before bands could start hitting the road again?
Let's just say today Fauci announces that things are better and we can start going back indoors and seeing shows again. I think we're going to see baby steps, and I think it's going to be a few months before we actually see an artist that we really want to see pop up on a stage. I think it's going to take a little education for us to tell our customers what safeguards we've put into place, and I think once they start to understand it, I think they will start coming again. And when they come, I am convinced that it's going to be balls to the wall, my friend.
There's going to be big shows every night of the week at every venue.
You know, the nights of the week that we used to run away from, the Mondays and Tuesdays, will be hot again.
This is Backstage Pass, an inside look at the concert industry with Don Kronberg from NiteLite Promotions. At the end of the summer and going into fall, some different sort of shows at like drive-ins and things like that. What are we looking at this spring as the weather starts getting nicer?
We are definitely going down the drive-in road again. One, because people had a great time. And two, once we figured out the business model, we figured out that it can actually work. We're actually looking at expanding our footprint in the drive-in world. And it's not necessarily just using a drive-in movie theater like the McHenry Outdoor in McHenry, but we're looking at open plots of land where we can actually construct a basic format of a drive-in show with large video screens, a mobile stage, and all the production that's necessary. I think it's going to be a little bit before we go back to traditional concert settings. Once we get people back outdoors, even in weird situations like pods, we're going to be able to get them back indoors again a lot sooner.
Is it easier to keep the people separated in a drive-in situation where they have their car as opposed to blocking off a little area and making that pod for them?
Drive-ins work, and they work very easily. The car is a natural barrier, and it creates that natural spacing. And even this summer, we're talking about putting cars closer together than we did last year because we found out that we killed off every other space using the drive-in method, and we had so much space between vehicles that I started looking at it going, you know what, if you put two cars side by side and people sit in front of their vehicles, in the middle of their vehicle, you still have probably 10 to 12 feet separating groups of people, and that's more than sufficient. We're outdoors. The pods are interesting because we're actually looking at doing that at one particular drive-in space right now, but the cost of building the pods and the cost of policing the pods. So we have to put people in the pods, and then we have to make sure that they're not wandering next door over to the pod next to them. The negative to a drive-in is we're limited to X amount of vehicles, and there's only X amount of people that are in each of our vehicles. I think there's going to be a lot more shows this year. I think there's going to be a few more choices. We've had some interesting conversations this week with agents and some relatively decent names that weren't being thrown our way last fall, and we'll see where it goes. Money talks. At the end of the day, just because they're interested doesn't mean that they're interested enough to play the shows.
Don Kronberg from NiteLite Promotions. Where can people find out about your shows and what you guys got going on in the future?
Just check us out at NiteLite.com via social media. Occasionally when I'm checking in with you, I'll update you on what we're going to be doing, and I'm looking forward to the day where we can start talking about new shows that we're bringing to Rockford or the Chicagoland area, and I think that time is coming pretty soon.
Very exciting. It's Backstage Pass, an inside look at the concert industry on Rockford's home for Classic Rock, 96.7 The Eagle.